Here are 5 ways to make your chorus hit harder. If you follow these 5 steps, your choruses are going to really stand out and help your song, because at the end of the day, the chorus is what matters most to most people. Most of us want a chorus that really hits, that has a lift, that has like some dynamics between, compared to the verses and other parts in the song. There's ways to get there. We're going to share them on this episode. Hello, welcome. This is the Self-Recording Band Podcast. If you're new to this show, nice to have you. If you're already a listener, good to have you as well. My name is Benedict Hein. I'm the host of this show. I'm a mix engineer and I run the selfrecordingband.com, where we help artists make better recordings from their jam spaces and home studios. We do that through our coaching and also through this podcast that you just now discovered, hopefully, or maybe already discovered. I don't know. Good to have you. Anyways, this is, if you're discovering this on YouTube, this is also a podcast, or first and foremost, this is a podcast. So you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those podcast apps. And if you are listening on one of those apps and you want to see us, you can go to YouTube and do that there. I am doing this not by myself. I'm doing this with my friend and co-host, Manel Espinosa Berenguer, speaking to you from Alicante, Spain. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hello, Benny. Just in case you guys don't know me, I'm Manel Espinosa, and I'm a music producer and mixing engineer from Spain, always ready to turn your demos into finished songs through a very lovely process.
I always love this line. People will be like, what's the process he's talking about? Yeah, we actually have an episode on that, by the way, where you can see or hear Manel's entire process. So if you're interested in that, go to that episode and listen to this. So we're going to put that in the show notes so you can find it. So Manel, we have a wonderful topic today. It's about songwriting. It's about choruses specifically. And this is one of those episodes that you will lead us through, and I will be your student and listen carefully to what you have to say.
Yes, I think it's really important because I think that we all producers / songwriters / artists, we've been in situations where our choruses do not hit the way we imagined in our heads. And so we're going to provide our listeners with some tricks to try to make that happen easily, right?
Yeah.
And so we're going to start with a really basic, intuitive one, but maybe not that common sometimes, which is basically using your instruments in an intelligent way, right? Because nowadays we have a lot of synthesizers or virtual instruments that we can add every time. But sometimes instead of adding things, it's more about managing the instruments that you already have in a proper and interesting way, right? So the first trick is basically about, using or not using some instruments at some points in the song. And what I mean is, for example, you can have the first verse with, your full-on band or whatever, like the 2 guitars, bass, drums, vocals. But for the second verse, you can choose to leave, for example, the guitars out so that you create some space. And that helps bringing up the chorus when it comes back again, right? And it also evades us from this copy pasting thing, because at least in my productions I try to evade this, especially in the verses. Like, I don't like when verses are identical, like exactly the same thing, same arrangement and stuff. So yeah, in the example that we're gonna play for you guys, you're gonna hear the first verse of a song by Maciel Hand that's called Obra Maestra, where you listen to some guitars and bass and vocals. But in the second verse, we decide to leave the guitars out so that the chorus comes, it has more impact because the guitars come back in the chorus. So yeah.
Cool. So before we listen to that, one side note and question here. Mm-hmm. This is basically doing two cool things to your song. So I thought, I said we were going to talk about choruses, but actually this helps the chorus because you remove something so that the chorus can be bigger. But it also, it's a separate like songwriting trick in and of itself to have, two slightly different verses, to not repeat yourself, but also not having to reinvent the wheel. You just make a slight change in the second verse, and people might not even pay attention that much, but it definitely creates a slightly different vibe. It keeps the listeners engaged more, and it's a very common trick that you'll find where there's a slightly different thing about the second verse. So it's about the chorus, but it's also actually helping the entire song structure in a way.
Yeah, I think that the main idea is that it's not always about adding stuff, which can be also an option. Like you can add an additional whatever part or whatever, but sometimes it's more intelligent to remove things.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. So we're going to listen to Obra Maestra 1. And should I then go immediately to the second one, or?
Yes, basically the first one is the first verse,
okay,
which has guitars, and the second one doesn't have guitars and goes into the chorus.
All right, so here comes number 1.
Firmeza me va a faltar para enmarcar tu retrato y desmantelar esto que me está pasando. Si un día te encuentro en otro lado, que no sean mis cuadros, atenderé muy bien cada uno de tus rasgos con caricias.
Number 2.
Ojitos grandes como pincelados, dulce proeza que se ha creado, belleza que da luz a mis piezas, digna naturaleza. Firmeza me va a faltar, firmeza me va a faltar.
Yeah, nice how it opens up the chorus.
Yeah, and also the stop before the chorus helps with the chorus, but we're gonna talk about that later on.
That's one of my favorite things to do. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the first trick. So should we go to the second one?
Yes.
Or do you have any comments?
No, that's very clear.
Okay. So in the second one, we're gonna play with the structure of the verse. And what I mean is, especially I'm talking about the lyrics mainly. The thing is, you can have a verse that has whatever amount of lines you want it to have, typically 4, for example, and then that goes into the chorus. But what you do is that in the second verse, you add one more line or remove one line so that what happens is not as expected, right? And that's, as simple as I said, basically. The thing is that in my case, for example, this happens more naturally when I write the lyrics before the music, right? Because sometimes I'm writing the lyrics even like without thinking about the music or chords or whatever. And what comes out is an irregular structure that I can choose to follow, or maybe I can choose to modify it for it to be like the same all the time. But I think that sometimes it is interesting to leave it as it is and try to adapt the music to the lyrics instead of the other way around. So in this example, we're going to hear a very super popular song that's called Ain't No Mountain High Enough by Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, or Terrell, I don't really know how to pronounce that. And we're gonna see how in the first verse we have 6 lines, but in the second and third, we're not gonna get to the third one, but you're gonna listen how in the second verse there's only 4 lines, and the chorus comes like in an unexpected way, because also the melody doesn't really prepare us for the chorus. Maybe it doesn't feel as impactful right now because this song, you probably have listened to it many times. But that's the trick, that the first verse has 6 lines, which is kind of weird. 6, not the typical number. And then the second one has 4 lines.
Okay. Here we go.
Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby.
If you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far.
Don't worry, baby.
Just call my name. I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry. 'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby.
Remember the day I set you free. I told you you could always count on me, darling. From that day on, I made a vow I'll be there when you want me, some way, somehow. Oh, baby, there
Ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough
to keep me from getting to you, baby.
Yeah, so basically we see how, like, in the first verse, the melody goes like higher, and it kind of sets us up for something coming, which is the chorus in this case. And in the second verse, the melody doesn't try to like bring us to the same place, right? But it's more like suddenly you go, oh, chorus again.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. Love that. It's a pattern interrupt in a way, which is always a powerful tool. Yes. Very cool. And those are things like, it's interesting how we don't even notice that with some of the very, popular songs. We just accept that they are the way they are, and we don't even know why they work so well sometimes. And if we dissect this and analyze it, then we figure these things out. And it's like, oh, it's maybe intentional that one verse is longer than the others, or it's, and even if it's an intuitive thing, not always everything's planned out, but it works, whether it's whether it's intentional or not, so you can use that to your advantage and do it intentional. So,
Yep.
Cool. Great. All right. So,
Third one is the one that you like.
I like all of those, but that's one that I don't know. It just works so well.
Yeah. And so, third one is basically, I call it dramatic pauses. It doesn't have to be that dramatic, but and you can use this in many different ways, right? Like adding a stop before the chorus, or for example, you can remove the drums in the first bar of the chorus and, kind of delay the heat of the chorus, which creates tension and which is released. At the end, everything is about tension and release, right? And there's this one that we're going to hear in the example that I love, and is when you have a silence in the first beat, and then it comes full force in the second beat, right? That's also very common in like punk songs with this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very on the two instead of the one.
Yeah, and that, I think that helps maximizing the impact of whatever section you're in, right? So in this case, we're gonna hear, I think it's a masterpiece, really, but it's a really popular song that I think it's, in this case, the pause is so well done that you don't really notice that the chorus like starts on the second beat of the bar. Which is Flowers by Miley Cyrus. So can you play it?
I can. Right, here we go.
We were good, we were gold, kind of dream that can't be sold. We were right till we weren't, built a home and watched it burn. I didn't wanna leave you, I didn't wanna lie. Started to cry, but then remembered I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand.
I think we're going to play that again, the transition into the chorus, so people really pay attention to this, because it's actually subtle, if you don't know it, right? It's because the beat is relatively fast. It's a 4 on the floor kind of thing with the kick drum, but the chorus doesn't have the first kick drum. It starts with the snare.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pay attention to that again.
Till we weren't built a home and watched it burn. I didn't want to leave you, I didn't want to lie. Started to cry, but then remembered I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand.
Yep. I really hope the audio and the video will be synced in a different way than the live thing, because if I look at you when you do the 1, 2, 3, 4, it's like so off. It's like, what is he counting? No, but I think it's gonna be fine in the final. Just make sure when you do the edit, it's gonna work out.
Yeah.
Because yeah. No, that's a cool little trick there, which that really helps. The chorus definitely, whether it's better or not, up to you to decide. But it definitely hits completely differently compared to what it would have been if it's just on the one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, the main theme that we can talk about with these 3 examples mostly is that I think that sometimes, especially when you're starting, you tend to like try to fill every single gap everywhere. And most of the time, the silence and the space is very useful. So, yeah, you should use silence a lot more than, trying to fill everything up with licks and arrangements and whatever.
Yep. Yeah. A pause is actually a note. It's actually a part of the thing you write. So,
yeah.
Totally. So, the next one is dramatic pause. One that you produced. So, the first one, by the way, also was one that you produced, right?
Yes.
Wasn't it? Yes, the very first example.
Yes.
So we're going to put those in the show notes as well, and then people can find those artists too, because I think they're great songs, and we need to mention that you actually worked on these, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think the next one is one, too, that you worked on. Tell us about it.
The next one is going to be a song by Ola Bird called Cut My Tongue. And yeah, what we're going to talk about in this trick is basically the use of, you can do it in 2 different ways, I would say, or maybe even more, but the 2 main ones that I use is reversed reverb, or basically you can take a little piece of an instrument, create an additional track with only that little piece, and flip the track so that it plays, how do you say that? Backwards, right?
Reversed. Yeah.
Especially, it works especially well with like long chords and stuff like that. So like you can play a long chord, and so it will start with the tail, which gradually comes until the hit, right? And that's a good thing. It's like a riser, you could say, that you can use to improve the impact when the chorus comes. And actually, the previous song also had that before the silence. So you can combine different tricks at the same time to create even more impact. So yeah, to sum up, because I was a little bit over the place. One option, you have a track with, a chord, for example, and you flip
You reverse it.
Yeah, you reverse the track and probably add normal reverb, right? The other way around, you don't flip the track, but you add reversed reverb, all 100% wet, which basically is the same thing. And that way you create like a riser that can help you lead into the chorus. And that's what we're going to hear in the example.
Yeah. I would add that there are a couple different things that come to mind that all have the same kind of effect. So like you said, you can actually print a short section of an audio file and reverse it. And so it starts with the tail and then ends with the transient, basically. And you can cut off the transient if that's like a hard click or something. So that's one way. The other way is the reverse reverb, like you said, which is actually an effect that builds early, and the opposite, like as from a normal reverb. You can do a reverse cymbal thing is a common thing. There are samples like that, tons of samples. You can create it yourself. Like a cymbal hit reversed has the kind of thing effect. You can do that with a chord that sustains, like you said. And then there are riser samples that are specifically made for that, where, you know, there's packs of that where whenever you see riser, it's typically a thing like that, or swell or something like this, where you just insert a little post-production effect that does that. It can be synths, can be cymbals, can be all kinds of things. Or you can actually play a cymbal swell too, when you have like felt instead of sticks, you know, you have the, what's it called? Mallet, you know you know what I mean?
Yeah, mallets.
Mallets, yep. With the felt tip, you know, you can start really quietly and let the cymbal build up without hearing the stick attacks on the cymbal, and that can create a natural kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you can cut it off in a hard way or whatever. And the combination with the pause is really exciting too, because you can either let it like go up all the way to the first beat of the chorus, can work, but you can also let it build up and then not immediately hit, but there's a break and then it hits. This is another common thing where you think it hits, but then there's this short break and then it hits. So you can combine the two. Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing that you can also do is basically play a chord with a synth and automate the volume.
Yeah.
So that it feels the same thing.
True.
Same way. Yeah.
Cool. So let's listen to this. Ola Bird, Cut My Tongue.
My lungs are burning, I cannot breathe. How did I fall down so fucking deep? I wanna get up and start to run, but you tied my legs and cut my tongue.
All right. Let's go back to the beginning. Do it one more time. This is a little more subtle than I had it than I remembered it. It's not I was waiting for the break for some reason because we were talking about the pause, but it just goes into the chorus.
Yeah.
So again.
My lungs are burning, I cannot breathe. How did I fall down so?
It's actually a combination of a couple sounds, isn't it? There's like a synth that comes up,
probably.
and there's a cymbal. Like it's a couple of things swelling, and then
And also, now that we're talking about the pauses too, in this case the hit hits in the second bar of the chorus, like because the chorus starts with the swell. That's already the first bar of the chorus. Yeah.
True. Great stuff.
Yeah.
So on to number 5.
Number 5, like for number 5, we're gonna stay in the same song. And the thing here is, again, that sometimes we tend to try to add a lot of different ideas and melodies on one song. But it turns out that we don't need to do that. And it's normally it is better to just use 2 or 3 main ideas really, and then develop from there and use them in different ways, in different moments, so that, we don't really need to be thinking about the listener all the time, but that's a way that the listener can, sort of recognize patterns or cool things in the song, right? So what we did in this song is that we added a little melody at the very beginning of the song in the first verse, and then I didn't use that melody anymore until the last chorus, where that melody appears again. And I took that melody from a vocal line that's in the song already, right? So the thing is, sometimes it's great to reuse motifs, so that in this case, it's not like that it helps the chorus hit in the pure sense of like hitting, but it helps the listener it helps it helps like sparking some sort of fire in the mind of the listener when you hear that again, you know.
I love that. It's so cool how these things, like you said, sometimes making things simpler actually makes the song better. And instead of like beating our head against the wall and thinking, what can we do? What can we come up with? I'm running out of ideas. Maybe you have more than enough and you just need to take away some things or just repeat some things. And from what you already have, you could build a really cool song. So
yeah, because I think maybe we tend to like add too much information, and sometimes, you know, it's fine with 2-3 good ideas and then make the most out of them.
Yeah. Cool. So again, Cut My Tongue. We have 2 examples now. So we're going to start with 1 and then 2. What is the difference between the 2?
First one is the first verse where the melody appears for the first time. And then second one is the last chorus, which we already listened in the previous trick, where that melody appears again. I mean, it's going to be subtle, but I bet you can recognize it.
So verse and chorus have same elements in them.
Yes, one melody that is the same.
Okay, cool. Let's start with example 1.
I feel like I'm giving up, one too many wars. Feels like this little drop overfilled my glass. You know how I used to fight, not counting wounds. Maybe this one last scratch was all it took.
And here comes the chorus.
Oh, my lungs are burning, I cannot breathe. How did I fall down so fucking deep? I wanna get up and start to run, but you tied my legs and caught my tongue.
Again, the verse.
I feel like I'm giving up, one too many wars. Feels like this little drop overfilled my glass. You know how I used to fight, not counting wounds. Maybe this one last scratch was all it took.
The second half basically is what's in the chorus, right?
It's the synth line that's after every phrase.
But also the way she sings the third, isn't the third line similar in how she sings it?
Maybe. Maybe I didn't think about it, but
the motive appears in the synth. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let me listen to that once again. I was listening to for whatever reason, focusing on the vocals so much. So again, the chorus, and then we go back to the verse where the synth is doing the same motive.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Okay.
Oh, my lungs are burning, I cannot breathe. How did I fall down so fucking deep? I wanna get up and start to run, but you tied my legs and caught my tongue. I feel like I'm giving up, one too many wars. Feels like this little drop overfilled my glass. You know how I used to fight, not counting wounds. Maybe this one last scratch was all it took.
Yeah, I was focusing on completely the wrong thing. The synth is not doing what the vocal did. It's just the same synth motive kind of thing that happens. Yeah, totally. That connects the two. Yes.
Yeah, the thing is that maybe I didn't explain it properly, but the thing is that
you probably did. I just focused on the wrong thing because I was so vocal focused all the time.
But the thing is that motive, that melody came from another vocal melody that's in the song, but did not appear in these examples.
Yeah. It's confusing, but no, but like now I get it, and I'm sure the listeners are smarter than me. They got it immediately. So there is a synth motive that connects the two different parts. Yes.
The thing is that I think it has more impact if you listen to the whole song, because the first one happens at the very beginning of the song and that doesn't appear until the end. So it's kind of like connecting the beginning and the end.
No, that's nice. It's introducing it already and then it's coming back. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Love that. That's really, really cool. So that was a quick, very actionable episode, I guess. So we had 5 really cool tricks that you can use, implement, try right away. That will definitely change how your choruses feel, how your songs feel, and hopefully make things better and give you some ideas. Now I have a sixth point here on my outline that you've added for me. What is this about, Manel?
We have a bonus trick. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the thing is that sometimes, we've learned about different tricks to make your chorus hit harder. But sometimes the trick is before even starting to produce or arrange the song, right? Because I had a recent experience with an artist who sent me his song. And the thing is that the verse sounded to me like the chorus, because like the melody of the verse was way higher than the chorus. So the first time that I listened to the song, immediately I was like, oh, okay, this song starts in the chorus, because I thought it was the chorus. So we talked about this and I told him, like, I think you have 2 options. Or you make another chorus that sounds more like a chorus than the chorus.
Yeah.
Or you find a way to, change some notes or something so that the chorus really feels like a chorus. And so what he did is play around with the key of the song.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it was very useful to do that because the way he did it, in the final result, then he had the verse in a way lower register, and then the chorus lifts up and it's higher and it sounds like a chorus. So the impact of the chorus is way bigger. Way before even doing anything, he was only playing the song and with his guitar and his voice, right? No pauses, no arrangement, no extra instruments. So yeah, basically this 6th trick is a reminder that please play around with the key and find the right key for your song.
Yeah. Totally. We have an entire episode on that too, I think, where you did some examples where you if you want to hear Manel sing, he's really good at that, by the way. There is an episode where he's saying some examples to show you the difference in feel and energy and all that between different keys of the same song. So I'm going to link to that as well in the show notes. And by the way, I keep talking about the show notes. So there is the short show notes that you have on your podcast app or whatever, but that oftentimes just shows a summary. If you ever want to go to any of the full show notes that we have for every single episode, we're close to 300 episodes, there's a full show notes page for every single one of these with all the links and resources and things we mentioned on the show, related episodes, stuff like that, sometimes free downloads, all the good stuff. You can always go to the selfrecordingband.com/ and then the number of the episode. So in this case, it will be the selfrecordingband.com/294. And this is going to direct you to the show notes page. And this is true for every single episode. So just saying. So yeah, key is absolutely, picking the right key is absolutely important to make the chorus hit. You can also do, there's tricks around that too, where you can change the key at the end of the song. You can modulate it and go half a step higher or a step higher, things like that. You can, classic things. Yeah, but also a very common example, by the way, that you mentioned there, where somebody thinks they have a chorus or a verse, and then it turns out it would actually be a better whatever, and you have to write one more, thing. The classic example is that somebody thinks they have a chorus, and then the producer goes in and says, let's make that chorus the verse and write an actual chorus. So, in this case, it was a verse that sounded like a chorus. And so, yeah. But either way, it's about the energy. It's about the climax, the biggest thing in the song. So definitely good that you mentioned this as a bonus example here. I'm not going to say the number again. And please, like, reminder to ourselves, Manel, let's just skip the sixth point on the list just so we can go from 5 to 7. I don't want to ever say sixth again. Yeah, but I'm glad you added it. Cool. So this was a good one, Manel. This was really, really cool. Action-packed, cool examples. Thank you for preparing that.
Yep.
As always, let us know if you liked that. If you want help with, maybe you implement all these things and then you have a song and now it's time to produce it. And if maybe this episode finally gets you to the point where you're happy with your song structure and all that, and then you say, like, now it's time to actually record it. Go to the selfrecordingband.com/coaching and we can help you or just the selfrecordingband.com now, wherever, you'll find the form. What you can do there is apply for our coaching program. And if you are a good fit and the songs you've written are actually ready to be recorded, we can work together and guide you through the entire production process, from the pre-production, maybe some refinements to the arrangement and the song itself, but then to sound check, actual recording session, editing, mixing, mastering, the entire thing. You do it yourself. You're the producer. You make the decisions, but we're by your side. We are coaching you, guiding you every single step of the way. You have this safety net of a professional pair of ears listening to everything you do, giving you clear, precise next steps, always like working on your music, your DAW, your plugins, all that. It's not a theory course or whatever. It's just you do what you would do anyways. You finish your song, but we guide you through it step by step. This is what we do in the coaching. So if that sounds interesting to you, go to the selfrecordingband.com/coaching or just the selfrecordingband.com. And if you have a basic idea and you kind of get what we were talking about in this episode and others, but you want someone to implement ideas like that with you because there's many more tricks than just these 5, then you can go to manelitomusica.com and work with Manel, because he is a great producer and songwriter, as you could hear in those examples. Those are fantastic songs that he's worked on. And I'm sure Manel is very happy to turn your raw idea into an actual finished song with a good flow, good structure, good choruses through his very lovely process.
Yeah, and I know it will be useful to some of you because I'm also an artist, right? And I know that we get a little bit precious with our songs, and I think it's easier if someone tells you that you need another chorus than to like really think about it yourself, because we tend to something in my eye. We tend to think that our newest song is our best song and is untouchable and it's perfect and whatever, but in a good way, So having someone with an external vision can be really, really useful for these arrangement sort of things.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, do it. Just so, because it might sometimes be confusing, like what we actually do here at the Self-Recording Band and or our studios and all that. Just to sum it up, Manel is a producer. He's working with artists through the entire thing. Like, he does it for the artist. So production, helping with the writing, but then just doing the actual production, the recording, the mixing, everything that's involved in turning a demo into an actual production. Manel is doing that at his studio, classic producer plus engineering type of thing. I am mixing, so if you record something somewhere and you need someone to mix it and send your recorded files to someone, that's what I do at the studio. And then at the Self-Recording Band, we help you do it yourself. So you can either hire us to do a done-for-you thing, or we can do it done with you, the done-with-you way, where you do it, but we help you and show you how to do it. Those are the things we do. We don't have like standard like video courses anymore and stuff like that where you just watch a video. We always work on your material. We either show you how you can do it and get the result, or you can hire us to do it for you, whatever you prefer. That's what we do. And here's a little preview, by the way, of what's to come on this podcast also. We are going to do more episodes like this because I really enjoy those and they're actionable and cool. But in the very near future, somewhere around the 300th episode that we have, we're going to start a series where we're going to actually make it... we're putting effort into making it less confusing to you when it comes to what the entire record-making process actually includes, what that looks like, what is the process, what happens at a studio. If you've never been to a studio, never had a full professional experience, if you don't know where to start, if you do it yourself, we're going to outline the entire thing that we take our coaching students through, that the entire thing that we go through with the artists at our studio. So we're going to start with showing you all the steps of the process, what's involved, what you need to focus on, what you can ignore, what the priorities are. And then we're going to go through the individual steps and talk about what goes into each one of those steps. So if once we start this series, we'll let you know, and then you can binge listen or binge watch through a couple of these, and you really get an idea of the entire record making process, which will then make it easier for you to know where you are currently with your songs, what you're still missing, what you might need to get help with, what you need to learn because there might be a knowledge gap, but it will make it very clear to you what your songs actually need to, and before they you can call them finished, sort of. So oftentimes we don't know what we don't know, so we aim to make it clear and walk you through the entire process step by step and just explaining it. And then if you want to go deep into it and apply all that to your own songs, again, we're happy to work with you, of course. But yeah, we're going to start this series very soon, and I think it's going to be a helpful one. I'll try and make it so clear that it's actually going to be a requirement for people to listen to this series before they apply to work with us. That's what I want for this. I really want this to be something when someone's interested in working with us in the coaching, I'm going to be like, have you listened through to the series yet? Because that will let you, like, then after that, you'll know what you actually need and what you're missing. And then we have a much easier time also working together. So that's what we're planning to do coming up on this podcast. So for now, thank you for listening. Hope you got value from this. Hope you enjoyed this. And we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.